Panda. You're looking good. Did you lose a couple of... No, you want to gain... Oh, all right, well, keep it up. Bamboo for life. Oh, Garden of Eden. What about Garden of Eve? Eve's Garden. Ooh, I like that. That sounds... I gotta talk to God about that one. Oh, all this beautiful fruit. Adam just blew my back out last night. Oh, I gotta say, round after round, I'm just like, good thing we don't need to sleep. Oh, this fruit, but I can't have that one. Oh. That's okay, though. Look at all this.
Cool of the day to you.
Oh, who's that? Who's that there? Is that... Oh, it's the lizard. It's Lizard.
My name is Serpent. I'm a serpent, not a lizard.
Oh, you're not a lizard.
No, Serpent.
Oh, yes, Mr. Serpent. Serpent. Yes, I remember, from the, housewarming, or the den warming.
Right.
What you guys live in. We came by.
Yeah.
Yeah, how's the missus?
The mister. I'm with the guy. I'm in a band.
Yeah, we're great. Adam and I are just, we're loving life. Obviously loving God. He's not around right now, and I'm hungry, so I was just doing some shopping, you know.
Yeah. You should check out that fruit, Knowledge of Good and Evil.
Yes, it does look good. It does look good. But that's the only one, G.O.D. said, do not EAT. Don't eat that.
Because he doesn't want you to have his knowledge, his power.
What? You think so?
Yeah, definitely.
You think he just doesn't want me to know what he knows?
Exactly.
You're so funny, Mr. Serpent.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, yeah. Okay, well,
Yeah, eat it.
I think I could try a little bit. I'm sure Adam would want some too, but...
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, it looks so good.
Take a
Let's do
bite. That's it. Bite into it. Yeah, how you feel? You like that?
Ooh. Yeah, looks good. Adam? Uh-oh. I don't...
No, feel good.
Mr. Serpent, you fucked me. No, this is fucked up. I don't feel good.
You're getting all tripped out.
I'm gonna see if Adam wants some, because
Yeah,
I don't feel so good. No, fuck you, dude.
No, fuck you,
This is some
bitch.
shit. Oh, I shouldn't have ate that. Fuck the serpent, bro.
I am not gonna come this far without clearing out some snakes. I gotta do it for the next one that's coming behind me. All these problems, all these issues, they gotta go. You might have bit me once, you might have wrapped around me, but you ain't stopped me. My heart still beats, so I march on, and so will you. Talking about snakes in high places, the rhetorical sake. Welcome back to my podcast. It's your boy, E.R. Hunter, aka Earth, and this is The Rhetorical Sake, episode 19, Snakes in High Places. We're talking about snakes in your mind today. Snakes on the corporate ladder you're climbing. Snakes in the spiritual tree of your being. Wherever they may be, we got a problem. And them snakes, they gotta go. I won't stop until every snake in my way is driven out, vanquished, beheaded, and neutralized. The same thing that bit me, the same thing that poisoned me, is the same thing that brought me back to life. The fight that was required of me was just that, of me.
Police are investigating the deaths of 2 children killed by a snake in northern New Brunswick. The children lived above an exotic pet store. Zuleka Nathu is in our newsroom tracking the story. What a terrible story. What do you know so far, Zuleka?
Yeah, Suhana, we just got some updates here too. So what we know is that a python escaped from a store that was believed to be some sort of pet service in Campbellton, New Brunswick. So that's in northern New Brunswick. This is a picture of the storefront. We pulled it from their Facebook page called Reptile Ocean, and they describe themselves as an exotic pet store. Well, it seems that the python slithered through the ventilation system and it attacked and killed the two children while they were asleep. So we're talking about two boys, a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. Now, these are just some of the animals that the store has, apparently the mother was in the home when the attack happened. The children both died, and it seems that the python coiled around the victims and suffocated them. But usually they don't affect humans. So that's sort of one of the questions that's up for discussion. RCMP say that they do have the snake and they're continuing to investigate. Autopsies will be done tomorrow. And the deputy mayor of Campbellton saying that the community is in absolute shock right now.
And I understand this exotic pet store has had some complaints in the past, correct?
Yeah, it's true. We found this page online. So this is an online petition. It has since been closed, so it's no longer active. But at one point, it was calling for Reptile Ocean to be shut down. There were complaints on it that the store owners were not taking care of the pets, that they weren't being neglected, and there wasn't sufficient care. What we do know is that giant snakes have only been legally imported since 2009. This is according to the deputy mayor of Campbellton, and that the change was made because pet store owners asked for that change to be made. We're still waiting to hear from the owner of Reptile Ocean. That's something that we are looking out for. Any more updates we get, Suhana, we'll definitely let you know.
All right, thank you, Zuleka.
You're welcome.
Doorbell camera captures the terrifying moment.
As you saw the video, I was walking onto the porch, and I reached back for a minute to make sure the car was locked, so I pressed the clicker and make sure the car locked. When I turned back around, pow! It was a surprise.
Gerald Haywood was visiting a friend's home when a 5-foot snake that was wrapped around the porch light bites him right in the face.
Ow! Kurt, take me to the hospital!
Gerald says it could have been worse. Fortunately, it was a non-venomous bull snake, but still.
I knew something had bit me. I just didn't know what it was until I actually looked up and I said snake. It was right around the eyelid. So it's a good thing it didn't bite me right exactly in the eye, the eyeball part, but it's right around the eyelid and lower eyelid. Take me to the hospital! Take me to the hospital! I don't like snakes. I don't get along with snakes. I never did, never will.
The Oklahoma man has something in common with Indiana Jones.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Gerald went to the hospital where he was treated with antibiotics. He's fine now and has some valuable advice for others.
Check your surroundings, I'll put it that way.
There are times when our fears of what might happen are larger than what has occurred. But even when our imaginations are out of control, the dangers can still be very real. We begin in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on the evening of March 27th, 1995, as Joe Carey was picking up his 2 young children at the home of his wife, Kathy, from whom he is separated. Carey had been home alone trying to feed her sister's 7.5-foot pet Burmese python. Around 5 p.m., a desperate call for help came in to Milwaukee police telecommunicator Mary Ann Stima.
Now, you're going to have to tell me what you said because I didn't get a word.
My sister's ball python snakes come on my hand.
What? Stop. Take a breath. What's the matter? What's the matter?
My sister's got a ball python snake, and he won't let go of my hand.
Okay, stand on. Let me get.
It's not the usual type of call you would expect to find in Milwaukee.
I think you're too
You just don't have them sliding around outside.
Is this a snake?
I don't know anything about snakes. I know that I'm scared to death of them, and if they're on the other side of the country, that's close enough for me.
You guys better put your boots on. We don't know what we have here.
Is anybody home with you? No, my kids and my husband just left.
And the snake is twisted around your arm?
Yeah, he's about 7 feet tall. Oh, he's going so hard. He's got my knuckles in his mouth. I know my hand is bleeding. My hand is bleeding really bad.
Honey, I've got help on the way.
Number 4. This video captures the moment a woman is bitten by an anaconda on Dutch TV.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
I'm trying to figure out why this woman goes in like she's about to bear hug this big ass snake. I watched that video a couple of years ago and I thought it was like a little python and I thought they were in America. I didn't know. I guess I disregarded the fact this was an anaconda. Ooh, and can you imagine if those things had legs? Like if snakes could walk? Oh my God. So it actually might be good. Creationists like me believe that God established enmity between us and the serpent, banishing him to his belly, as read in Genesis 3. So we're all pretty familiar with that story, even if you don't believe in it at all and think it's a bunch of hoopla. That's cool. It was just the main story that humankind passed down for centuries. So, you know, I roll with it. I don't take it literally. I definitely take it figuratively. But I leave room for the possibility that it might have just been Joe and Eve, or Adam and Eve, you know, guy and a girl to start, whatever. I don't really care. What I'm here to talk about today is this metaphor, this idea of serpents, of these snakes in our lives. And what got my attention about this message, this idea, this show, this concept, was one of those clips with Gerard, one of the first clips I showed. And that happened, I think, just this year. And this man got bit on his face, like, and it's all on camera. How terrifying. And it's simply because he wasn't aware of his surroundings. So, on today's episode of The Rhetorical Sake, as I mentioned before, I'm really going to break down this metaphor, this idea of snakes in our lives, these problems that are intercepted through thought, through communication, through an idea that takes us away from our divinity and causes us damage and ultimately leading our generations to die off. Whether or not you're a Christian, it doesn't really matter. We all have issues in our careers, in our love lives, in our families, and ourselves. And so what I want to do is offer a new perspective on identifying and neutralizing threats. So when I'm talking about the Word, I like to read from the Word. And I definitely keep an open Bible next to my bedside because that keeps things kosher in my house spiritually while I sleep, me and my pup. But by chapter 3 in the Bible, and I don't really like using like Bible Hub. When I'm reading from the Word, I like to read from the Word, like having the book in my hand. So this is a Bible, don't leave the house. It's that Bible. And it's a study Bible, so they got a lot of footnotes and stuff. I'm not really going to delve too much into that. I think we're going to do a nice brief summary here. But if you never heard the story or how it's written, here you go. Towards the end of chapter 3. Is it towards the end? Maybe it's in the middle. Oh, yeah. It's all right. It's just all chapter 3. So it's like, now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, "Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?" The woman said to the serpent, "We may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but God did say, you must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you will die." "You will not surely die," the serpent said to the woman, "for God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be open, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." When the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye, and also desirable for gaining wisdom, she took some and ate it. She also gave some to her husband, who was with her, and he ate it. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they realized they were naked. So they sewed fig leaves together and made coverings for themselves. Then the man and his wife heard the sound of the Lord God as he was walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and they hid from the Lord God among the trees of the garden. I guess they can't hide God. But the Lord God called to the man, "Where are you?" he said. He answered, "I heard you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid." And he said, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from?" The man said, "The woman you put here with me, she gave me some fruit from the tree, and I ate it." Then the Lord God said to the woman, "What is this you've done?" The woman said, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate it." So the Lord God said to the serpent, "Because you have done this," page turner right here, y'all, "cursed are you above all the livestock and all the wild animals. You will crawl on your belly, and you will eat dust all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel. To the woman he said, I will greatly increase your pains in childbearing. With pain you will give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you." Wow, so patriarchy at its finest, established right there in the beginning of this book. So let's not take ourselves too seriously. Going to set this back on Psalms 18. If you haven't read Psalms 18, God is pretty. I'm going to set the Bible down before I say this. Let me get to, yeah. Oh, 70s. Ooh, I like the 70s in Psalms too. God's pretty badass. And he know I ain't no saint, so forgive me my language, but y'all already know that. If you listen to this show, you're good. Because I am not Jesus, and I am not a pastor. But I'm trying to be a little bit more introspective and share that with the world. Is that all right? I think that's all right. Kia is texting me, because we're actually supposed to interview tonight, and I'm such a shithead. I always fuck up interviews. So, there you have it. Kia from the Keeping It Real episode. If you haven't heard that, tune in. And I gotta turn off these messages. See, snakes in high places. Here I am trying to do a podcast. We got distractions. So, what is this enmity God put between us and the serpent, aka the snakes?
Well, all this talk about snakes has got me a little creeped out, I have to admit. So, on a lighter note, I want to share with you guys something. There's a little bit of folklore behind my book, God Sent Dog. There's this story that when the Great Fall happened between mankind and God, this wide expanse started to open, this chasm, a great abyss, separating us from the animals, utopia. And the only animal that leaped across at the very last moment, right in the nick of time, was the dog. When you pick up your copy of God Sent Dog, whether digitally or physically, you'll see that folklore sewn in and throughout the story of Ira and I, and how he led me to sobriety. Get your copy today of God Sent Dog, the story of how one dog led a man to sobriety. Available on Amazon, Kindle Unlimited. Love you guys. I'm really enjoying myself. My other book, Chasing God Alcoholically, is just a brief observation about life in early recovery, the first time getting sober, and trying to find God in my way and all of that. And I think that's all right. So once again, I want to thank y'all for joining us. Hit me up, earth at erhunter.live. That's earth without the A, ERTH at erhunter.live. You can also just cruise my website, erhunter.live. We're international, y'all, and I'm really grateful for every single listen, every single review, follow, like. Thank you so much. My books are page turners. The podcast is growing. Something's happening, and I'm so here for it. And I want to thank you for being here for it as well. Patreon.com/erhunter. If you want to show some love, sow a seed, extra resources that help my organization, that's coming along just fine. But we could really use the support. Show us some love. Let's get back to the show. I got a lot more stuff for you. We're about to break it down, chop it up, and get real woo-woo. Here we go.
Enmity. It's a noun. The state or feeling of being actively opposed or hostile to someone or something. So that precedence has been set. I think it's visceral for me, my repulsion to snakes. And I think that is innate. I think it's part of my limbic system. That's my lizard brain thinking. Petstrategies.com says most snakes, despite their creepy demeanors, leave humans alone and won't attack unless threatened. Unfortunately, this doesn't mean they can't be pests and engage in destructive behavior. So before I just get into like the anatomy of this reptile, I really wanted to establish that I certainly have come to the conclusion my higher power, the God, my deity, I've orchestrated that is present in and throughout all life, everything, it establishes boundaries, order. So where there's order and where there's chaos, there is God. And that just becomes so relevant to me. So with snakes, it's just a term for problem, an issue, an opposition. And it's innate in us to be opposed to it. Each one of us, these are different things though. For some of us, it might be a superior at work or a parent. Others, it might be a significant other or a partner. It might be a financial dilemma. It could be an investment, a lack of return on investment, just so many things. But the consistency about issues and problems and what we become fatalistic about, what we get upset over, what we get angry and hostile towards others because we're carrying our hearts on our sleeve, those different snakes come at different elevations. And so the behavior of problem, this allegory that's been passed down generation after generation about Adam and Eve and the serpent, this symbol is so true. It's so honest. It just makes sense to me that any problem in my life is almost like a snake. It's sneaky, hard to identify, quiet, and we just don't get along. So as far as developing or introducing a relationship with a higher power that has established order out of nothing, out of total chaos, that is a God of order, and I believe that there is order in diversity. So homosexual, gay, transgender, some people might be like, well, he established Adam and Eve. Well, we got those penguins that are raising a little hatchling on their own, 2 male penguins at a zoo. It's all over. It's in nature too, like boy on boy, girl on girl, homosexual relationships, all these things. I see God in that. I see God in that chaos because it's like the colors that we can't see with our eyes, with our physical eyes. Our retinas don't display the actual colors that may be out there. We just see blue, we might see red, but it's like when you trip acid or something and you see colors you've never seen before, or you have some outer body experience or a white light moment. I think it's like that. So everything for me in my life I've accepted as purposeful. And even the snakes that were there, I accept that life, my higher power, allowed them to be there. Just like in the story with Eve in the garden with the serpent. The serpent was always going to be shrewd. the craftiest. In one verse, like Bible Hub says shrewd, this text said crafty. But that's just the snake's nature. Now, the communication factor, I think, is definitely an allegorical anthropomorphizing of the serpent, a snake, a reptile, but it's a characterization of opposition, of an idea. And that is what's so interesting to me about our problems and our issues being like snakes. Really, it's just an idea, the message that they send in just simply existing. Even the idea of them, it affects us differently depending on the gravity of the situation and our experience with said problem or snake. So this enmity, I have a degree in rhetoric and I have trouble speaking, so don't worry about it if you're out there. I think that establishing a power distance, and power distance is something that has always stood out to me in every workforce I've worked in. That's one of the first things I identify is the power distance, the structure, the corporate ladder. What is my route to ascend? How am I going to climb this corporate tree? But now the question remains, what snakes am I going to encounter up there? Because snakes climb trees. They hide from their own prey, the predators, but they also scope out their own prey and hunt. One of those clips I showed talks about how the snake attacked the two boys. It's weird because I guess the ventilation system in that building, the vent was in the snake's encagement, but it was in the floor of them, of the first floor. And I guess the duct ran up the wall all the way, rather in between the floors, so the ducts on the second floor, the top of the building, were on the ceiling. Because what ended up happening from different news articles is that the snake came crashing down on top of the boys. So because of it got above them, it got leverage, and pinning them, that's why it was able to coil around both of them rather than just one. And imagine something trying to attack you, and now you got my brother too in this. And it's going for everything because it's as confused as they are. I've had issues like that in my life. Problems, depression, anxiety, metaphysical things you just can't quantify or bottle up or sell. Just life. We all have it. Those things that just come crashing down on us or give us an idea. And sometimes it looks so appetizing. It's an opportunity to advance, to gain some knowledge, to gain some wisdom, to gain some leverage. But the risk of opportunity is devoid of the reality, the warning, the caution heeded. Do not ingest this product. Do not consume that opportunity, as appetizing as it may seem, if it's nefarious in nature. There was nothing really altruistic about the Eve characterized in the Bible that we've been given, about her wanting to indulge. She wanted it for herself, the wisdom for herself. But don't we all? Isn't that what I'm constantly trying to gain? Isn't that what I'm sharing with you all? Is my journey to gain wisdom, to just qualify and make something out of this life that we've been given? Who knows? So the establishment of boundaries and order is God. Where there's a boundary, an obstacle, chaos, change, there's resource, there's opportunity, there's a demand requiring creativity. There's God. The serpent was banished to ride on its belly, evolve to climb trees, to get the advantage and throw itself down, crushing its prey. If something below it looks hospitable. There are even snakes that fly. Like, they jump out a tree and they can, soar through the air hundreds of yards. Whew, Jesus. Snakes, ironically, feast on the fowl of the air, on birds that fly. And that's interesting because for a problem, for our evil, for our opposition that kept us away from being our true self, was cursed to the ground, but yet throughout time has developed and maybe always it had to quickly learn how to feed itself, how to sustain itself. See, problems are always going to exist. So they have learned to adapt. And it's us being shocked and surprised that these things come up, that problems actually arose. I think for me personally, that keep me bound, that kept me bound, that keep me slow, at a slower pace, that make it a setback. It really doesn't have to be a setback if I get used to wrangling snakes, if I get used to problem solving. You with me? So whether it's a career, a corporate ladder, and you're hitting a glass ceiling, or dealing with a hostile work environment, maybe some harassment, or just nepotism, getting shafted on a promotion, things like that, because of a popularity contest, like that irks me so bad. That's what I'm doing for myself, because I don't want my merit to be validated by someone else's opinion of me, because they are just as filthy and just as ignorant and just as dumb and just as smart and beautiful as I am. We all in this together. I'll get there. The snakes could be like a mental thing. So even like illness, like anxiety, depression, PTSD, or even just something like shame, guilt, hate, things like that, self-loathing. It could be physical, chronic back pain from getting hit by a drunk driver, I don't know. Debilitating, breaking your leg, early onset arthritis, things like that, herniated discs, illnesses, the flu, pneumonia, gout. And it's spiritual maladies too. And I think that we can get tied up with snakes spiritually. Because when we go down to a scientific level, like Stephen Furtick, I was just listening to one of his Elevation Church podcasts, and he was talking about how science hasn't proved the soul exists or the spirit exists. But yet, it's so enamoring and so mysterious and so enthralling and so present that even science is still trying to figure out what we are. If that ain't God, I don't know what is. Genesis references God saying you. And I wonder if that's the general you, or like him saying like you will certainly die to Eve, like you personally, Eve, you touch that, you gonna die. You allergic. Y'all got allergies. You got a peanut allergy. That's a peanut. Your throat gonna swells up, all what, you know? Or if he was saying the general you. And I think that's where we have to start decompartmentalizing and decompressing this fascination on the creation, on this Christian book, this divinely inspired but man-made literature, and start realizing that these are metaphors, these are symbols. And so he's talking about the general you. If you indulge in the knowledge of both good and evil, I made you to be happy. I made you. That's where we prosper. That's where we are healthy, when we're happy and joyous. When we're stressed out and we're angry and we're depressed, we start getting inactive. We start isolating. We don't get enough sunlight. So it's just very apparent to me. And I struggle with myself because I'm wondering, how can I share this with others in my life? But I think for others in my life, it's got to be an attraction. It can't be a pitch. It's just got to be on me. And so that's growing. That light is growing. I want to nurture that flame inside of me. But it doesn't mean I can't reach out to those that aren't right here in the same city or right next to me, or that I don't see out and about or work with. That's why I do the podcast. Because I'm so grateful for the snakes I've had to encounter and how life and resilience is teaching me to deal with them and to not be scared. I'm not scared of snakes anymore. I'm scared of anything wild, anything feral. I don't care if it's a snake or a possum or a raccoon or even a cat. I don't trust wild. My God is one of order and decency. We need order and decency up in this house. All my crevices on my door, we making sure ain't nothing slithering through, because, when I was a kid growing up in high school, thank God my cousin was sitting right behind me on the couch, and I was cruising on YouTube. This was like 06, 05, or 07, and I just so happened to want to get his attention. And we were at my aunt's house, and her house was like a townhouse, had a little yard, no fence, and then it backed up to the woods, like another half acre away. So he turns around, and I'm looking at him trying to gauge his reaction, because he's not saying anything to this video I'm showing him of a friend of ours that was kind of famous. and he's looking down at the ground at the double doors. And I'm like, what are you looking? And he's stuttering. He's like, and I look and I see this snake that's as long as one of the doors, so like 4 feet long. This black snake coming through in between the crevices of the door that don't look about as wide as what's coming through, and it's slithering. And if I hadn't seen him looking at it, if I hadn't gotten his attention to turn around, neither of us would have saw this snake. Maybe out the corner of my eye, my peripheral, but I really don't think I would have saw. And so we jet upstairs. We tell my uncle, who's Marine. He goes down in there. We get my aunt out the house because she was pregnant at the time, and we were like, oh no, it's a mouse. Like, don't worry about it. But he found it on the modem, and the modem was actually under right where my feet were, because that's like was a warm spot. Oh my goodness. So I'm actually like, as I produce this, like kind of like checking my feet. There's nothing around me. There's nothing up in here. So anyway, one of my snake stories. So it's interesting. Like it says, like the Lord God said to the serpent, because you've done this, cursed are you above all livestock and all wild animals. You will crawl on your belly and you will eat dust all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers, and he will crush your head and you will strike his heel. Anatomy of a snake. So it being cursed to strike our heel does not mean it kills us. Doesn't mean it stops us. It could hurt. It can bite us. But it's not getting our head. It's not getting our heart. And when I did some research about how snakes kill, because I think of the movie Anaconda and all this crazy stuff I just showed at the beginning of the show, you hear about bones being crushed. You think it's like being crushed in a garbage compactor type thing, which is, anyway, a whole different story. That snakes actually don't crush, like even anacondas. It's not a crushing killing. They start to pick up your heartbeat, and they compress to the point where just enough your organs don't get oxygen. They want to just prevent circulation. They're not trying to break you. They want to prevent circulation. They want to prevent nutrient oxygen to getting to your heart. And if it can't get to your heart, then it can't pump out to your vital organs. And one of those requiring oxygen constantly is your brain. So if you do get wrapped up by an anaconda, you probably won't remember it shortly after. But damn, I'm sorry. And Lord Jesus, please don't let that happen to me. I'm just saying. I remember seeing an anaconda at the aquarium in Tennessee. I think it was like Memphis, Tennessee, on a field trip. Ooh, I was so glad that thing was on the other side of that glass, and I didn't see its face, but I saw it because it was sleeping. Its body, that thing was wider than 2 of my Brita water filters. Like, a snake should not be that big. Snakes are carnivorous. That means that they eat other animals. Snakes don't have the right kind of teeth to chew their food, so they must eat their catch whole. Their jaw is structured in such a way that it allows the mouth to open wider than their own body in order to swallow their prey whole. That's from the Idaho Public Television source. So that's interesting because all a snake has as its main offense is its mouth. So we have this symbol of this serpent, and when we really piece it together, the serpent can lunge, but if it doesn't latch on with its mouth, and we use our mouth to talk, and we have a conversation going on between the snake, the serpent, and Eve, it doesn't have to necessarily be a vocal conversation. The imagery of a snake could trigger a thought process in our minds. The imagery of your promotion could trigger a thought process in your mind. The imagery of an injustice to you could trigger a thought process in your mind. The imagery, the idea, the presence communicates a thought process. And that's dependent on each and every one of us, whatever tree, whatever thing we're climbing, wherever we're at in our life on our journey. And I'm talking about snakes in high places today because like that man got bit on his face because there was a snake in a high place. I've experienced snakes in high places in corporate situations in the TV and film industry. And those aren't necessarily people in particular, but situations, actions, fallout, themes, slights. And that was a growing moment. I mean, having worked in restaurant, having worked since I was 14, and then finally getting a 9-to-5 with like benefits and some notoriety, yeah, it went straight to my head. So I actually made my bed with the snakes. I was down to do the deed. I thought, yes, I need to gain that. I need to eat this fruit. I know I'm crossing a boundary, and I know I'm not really recognizing the order that my higher power has established. I know I'm going against my intuition. But this imagery looks so appealing. This idea, the potential. If this turns out the way I want it, this is going to be good. That'd be awesome, right? According to mom.me, snakes receive information about their surroundings by interpreting chemical signals given off by potential prey. Snakes are able to smell their prey by picking up chemical information with their tongues. When a snake flicks its tongue in and out, it can detect its prey's scent trail. So just like with the young boys that got by the python or the bull snake or whatever, anything called a bull whatever should not be near me, well, except a bulldog, or not even a bull cat. Nope. It probably sniffed out their scent and couldn't help it. I mean, it was coming through the vent and went straight to him. So what is sniffing you out? Because now we're in new territory. Each new day is new territory. And that's what I like. Okay, so I figured out that everything has taste. And even if we can't taste it necessarily, like it's not like flavorful, like even a rock, it tastes like something. And maybe that means it has a smell too. Even if it's slight and we can't even perceive it as humans. So what smell, what scent is attracting snakes in your life? Is it attracting snakes, or is it attracting nice koala bears and pandas? Or maybe the fish of the sea? Or is it so tempting to everything that is against your intuition? And sometimes it feels like that. Sometimes it feels like we're being encroached upon when we're simply trying to climb, when we're simply trying to ascend, we're trying to develop and grow ourselves. Why am I getting attacked? And through podcasts and things, I figured out to stop. I haven't figured out, it was revealed to me. Stop asking why and accept and deal. And that's tough love. That is tough love. But I need it. I need it. At this age, at this time in my life, it's not make or break. It's what I want it to be. And that puts me in a place to accept, to roll with the punches. It makes things a lot more easier because my expectations for the day, a good day, are not lower. They're fair. They're fair. I think they're even. So there was some study, obviously research, behavioral complexity and prey handling ability in snakes, gauging the benefits of constriction by M.T. Beeler and A.J. Savoia. Certain groups of snakes have characteristic patterns of constriction, including the number of coils they use and the orientation of the coils. Different strokes for different folks. Different problems will wrap you up in different ways. Different issues, different symbols, different ideas, different temptations. Once they latch on, they bite you. They bite your mind. It didn't bite Eve, it bit her mind. It incepted her. Once that happens, how do you roll out of that? It's good to know what is it? Keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer type thing. So where is that coil going to wrap? Where is it trying to constrict you? How do we get out of this? This soup hole on me. It's off of me now. And I'm going to share that with you. How? So Nature International Weekly Journal, they had this article, Snakes on a Limb. And this investigative team reported that at high temperatures, snakes move faster and were more stretched out along branches of all diameters. At lower temperatures, snakes moved much slower and adopted a loop posture. Their bodies meandered along the branch, improving stability. Now, ain't it funny when you start heating up, you know, when you playing beer pong, or when you used to play beer pong, God help me, y'all know who I'm talking to. What's up? You get 2 in a row, and you say, I'm heating up. You get 3, I'm on fire. But ain't it funny how the haters come out the woodwork around the table? Ain't it funny how they start gritting on you? They was just holding your legs up while you were doing the keg stand, and now my fellow panda bears are looking like snakes. Happens on the job, happens in relationships, happens in social circles, happens in life, happens in my head. I start hating on myself because of an idea, entertaining. So it's interesting, if we keep things safe, nice and cold, we kind of keep ourselves from sheltered. We keep ourselves less vulnerable. It's not as exclusive. It's not as hot. It's not as vibrant. It ain't as fast. It's not as risky. When we're cold, we're even. We insulate ourselves to stay warm emotionally, spiritually, mentally. We block ourselves off. We ration our portions. We get really defensive over our portions, over our rationings. And we really play survivor. And that's when it's kind of like you're just like the shell of a man. Your needs are barely being met. And actually, if we're going on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the top 2 tiers, self-actualization, that requires getting hot. And fear, there's snakes out there. There's snakes up there. I can't. I don't want to. That's what I would tell myself. To stop, to not do this podcast, to not write my books. Because of them snakes. They don't scare me no more. I don't want them to scare you. Because now I can identify my problems, and that comes with age. That comes from trying and experience and failing and getting back up again and getting back in there. Like Richard Rohr, the father Richard Rohr, sends out his emails, and he's talking about open-wide seeing. Open-wide seeing. The duality going on. We have this physical world, and we also have the metaphysical world. We have this spiritual side that science can't quantify, qualify, or bottle up. And we have this physical, tangible world that can be quantified and is categorized in elements and named and documented and standardized for human purposes. We need that for understanding. But there's certain things that no matter what the name is, you can feel it. I remember fishing in Virginia. I grew up on a lake, nice rural area, beautiful neighborhood. But we'd go in the woods to like smoke weed or go fishing. I could just talk about fishing. And we're standing there on the banks, throwing, the line out. And I hear some rustling of the leaves behind me. Not a lot, but enough to know something's moving behind me in the woods. And I look back and I hear the rustling, but my eyes are not registering what's not living, what's going on. And I see, using my ears, the leaves rustling, cracking. I see it, and it's this fat snake, and it blends in with the leaves. It's almost camouflage. That's how nature intended. That's how it evolved and adapted to survive. And if it was there in Virginia, it was most likely poisonous, especially that close to the water. So needless to say, we wrapped up fishing and got up out of there. But I'll never forget, that changed how I saw nature. That changed how I walked down to the lake after that. That opened my eyes to identifying potential threat. So I think that coincides with what Father Richard Rohr is talking about. He mentions in this recent email, to begin to see with new eyes, we must observe and usually be humiliated by the habitual way we encounter each and every moment. It is humiliating because we will see that we are well practiced in just a few predictable responses. Few of our responses are original, fresh, or naturally respectful of what is right in front of us. Few of our responses are original, fresh, or naturally respectful of what is right in front of us. I was not prepared to engage to protect myself from that snake. And there have been many times in my life, whether an actual snake or just some type of issue that is a threat, or I'm just not comfortable with. That may not even be a threat. That snake probably wasn't even worried about me. But because of how I see it and my fear, my repulsion, I see enmity. I develop opposition. I entertain my anger, and I start becoming delusional, and I can read people's minds. I don't know if you were like me like that, but that's what I do to go down the rabbit hole. Like we went down that YouTube rabbit hole with all those excerpts. That is the rabbit hole I can go down in my mind. Snakes can be camouflage, and regardless of their defense mechanisms, in order to bite you, in order to get you, like I mentioned, they got to use their mouth. It comes through an idea. It's communicated. It may not be actual words, a voice, but it's an idea that incepts into your mind, and that could poison your spirit. And once a snake bites you, it latches on, as we heard, those people screaming. It entangles itself around you, and it exerts itself all over you. It exerts itself on you. Is something in your life doing that to you? Is something in your life latched onto you? And that's what's on the exterior. That's the first thing when people approach. They got to get through that to get to you. Are we willing to entertain certain snakes? Keep them as pets because they're pretty? Because we want a giant bull snake? And then we keep them as pets until they outgrow their cages and they size us up. Like me when drinking booze. Yeah, it seems cute. It seems fun. It seems pretty. Until that thing gets too big. And I wake up in the middle of the night. My friend, he had 2 boa constrictors. And that's actually how I got over my fear of snakes. Because he would let them crawl around the apartment or whatever. And I would hold them. And okay, I was like, okay, this is what a snake feels like. And I let it go all on me. Kind of got to know it. Like, we were all right, oddly enough, considering this topic. But I'm sure, like he explained, even though he was the one that fed them and he loved them, he would wake up in the middle of the night and sometimes one of them would be laying right next to him in bed, like straight. And a vet told him that that snake was trying to size him up so that he could eventually eat him. Because what they do is they stretch themselves out to see how tall their prey is, if it's bigger than them or they have any doubts. And even though it was his pet, it was already trying to devour him. A change in thought could result in poison looking appetizing. A specific knowledge, a specific temptation, a specific appeal to the eye could be very damaging to the soul, mind, and body. So like I mentioned before, there are these times where we intentionally accept these snakes. Let's say like I'm climbing up a tree and I'm living in the jungle and I'm like Tarzan, and this tree represents my career. This tree represents my relationships. This tree represents my self-actualization. And as I ascend, the first time I tried to get up there, I didn't know how to spot out the snakes. What I thought was a branch, what I thought was support, actually turned out to be a reptile. Turned out to be a serpent. It betrayed me. And then the next time I saw it, or them, there were more of them because they smelt me coming. And now I'm up there and I know how to get past those, but I just keep going. And I let those stay on the lower limbs because I'm going up higher. And I'll deal with the next one that's up there higher. And I'll deal with y'all later. See, that's my obligation. That's what I'm doing now. I'm coming back down the tree and I want to help y'all get rid of the snakes down there. I'm going to get rid of the snakes down there. Because that is the reason why I don't run back to my old job asking for it back. Because if the path hasn't been made straight, if the injustice still stands, then I haven't done something right. So, I don't want anyone to suffer how I suffered. I don't want somebody to be discriminated against because of their race. I don't want somebody to be discriminated against because of their sexual orientation. I don't want that for myself, and I've experienced it, and it hurts. Those are snakes, and I let them bite me. I ate the fruit that they presented, and I entertained that idea when I should have just trusted God and stayed in order and in compliance with everything that had already been given me. But instead, I future tripped, I projected myself into the future, and I established this delusion that I could make it better. I could make the fruit better. I could collaborate with this snake, and they might be onto something, even though no time before has anything like this ever proved right. It's hard to avoid the temptation. It's hard to abstain from the fruit, the knowledge of good and evil. It's hard not to just put up with violations of civil rights. It's hard to address these things, but it's necessary. So when I talk about snakes in high places, if you're climbing the corporate ladder, you're gaining momentum in life, just be cautious. Do this dualistic observation where, yeah, we can take in the beauty of the forest, but we can also recognize the potential hazards. Once a snake latches on or gets into your house, basements are really bad. Basements are those deep places where we keep our old memories, our stored belongings, our seasonal decor, stuff that we may not necessarily see all the time. And when snakes get in basements, it's cool and it's moist, and it's a great place for them to reproduce. I have definitely had some issues in my life, let's just say alcoholism, that I set an environment in my body, in my mind, in my habits, in my daily routine for it to not only survive, but to thrive and reproduce. And now we got an infestation, and now we got a problem. I'm so grateful that I found an exterminator that was willing to do it for free. And all it took was my willingness to be a little open-minded and stop entertaining the addiction, the self-doubt, the shame, the guilt, the self-loathing, the embarrassment, and get willing to, be humiliated. Like, I can't believe it got this bad. I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I'm back here again, square one. But like Richard Ward mentioned, that humiliation is necessary because it teaches us. And I was standing by the lake and I saw that snake. It taught me how close danger's always been. I used to just sit anywhere in those forests, all over the woods, and smoke blunts. It taught me. It opened my eyes. I'm here to help you open yours. It's the snakes in high places, the snakes in our mind. And it's not necessarily like snakes are all bad. They're gonna be there. They come with the territory. Garden of Eden, Utopia, the world, life. They're gonna come up. They're gonna hang out. But we do not have to indulge them. We don't even have to engage. But we don't have to live in fear either. I'm so very, very grateful I was finally able to get this off my chest because it's been an idea I've been developing and studying and preparing for. And I'm grateful to be able to share it with the world. I will say I get hesitant, and that is definitely a snake, about producing certain shows, these inspirational, motivational, and just storytelling, life talk, masterclass, whatever, of a gangsta episodes, because it seems like when I address certain things, those problems come up for me. I'm so glad I'm not scared of problems today. I don't want you to be either. I noticed in my darkest depression, highest scandals, and just dark times, seasons of just misery, they were just that, seasons. I'm the only common denominator. And if I survive that winter, I can survive another one. If I survive that summer, if I made it through that heat, with all them snakes coming out the woodwork to eat, I could do it again next year. But we have got to groom and steward this planet of ours, this utopia we've been given. We have got to take care of the earth. Extra Resources That Help Earth is my organization. And one of the main things I want to do is establish libraries that serve as community centers and crisis units in times of maybe natural disasters and things like that. Patreon.com/erhunter is the best way you can sow a seed and help me get the ball rolling on extracting snakes of illiteracy and lack of knowledge no, from third world countries. Yeah, I want to help people gain knowledge. I do. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Knowledge is power. I think we can get into a lot of mysticism about the tree and the knowledge of good and evil, and if this tree actually exists and if it has metaphysical properties. Maybe it was just weed. Who knows? Maybe eating the fruit meant drinking the ayahuasca or smoking a doobie rolled in like, what are those big leaves or something out in nature? Who knows? Tobacco leaves or something? Yeah, like the first blunt. Look, I'm trying to piece it together too. Consume knowledge, not to consume knowledge. I'm trying to piece it together. One thing I do know is I am not God, and I'm grateful for that, because I know I'm a hot mess. I don't know about all y'all out there, but I ain't even trying to hear it every night. So I'm grateful to the GOD for listening to me, and I'm grateful for y'all for listening to me. If you want to offer some feedback, suggestions, or some comments, or delve more into my personal stories, check out my website, www.erhunter.live. I'm on the gram at The Rhetorical Sake, Twitter, sake_podcasts, and you know what it is. We'll be back here week after week, day after day, hustling on through. If no one told you they love you today, I love you, and I'm so, so proud of you. Thank you so much for joining me on The Rhetorical Sake, episode 19, Snakes in High Places. Keep your eyes open and your windows and doors locked and sealed. But you ain't got nothing to worry about, right?
Wait up. Oh, it's fucking cold out here.
I know, it's freezing.
You can give us some fire before we left?
Oh, come on, you can cuddle with me.
Ah, this is all your fault.
No.
No, because I told you we shouldn't have ate that shit.
It was delicious, though.
I've been shitting for 5 days straight.
Oh, we're just doing a cleanse. It's a cleanse. Knowledge cleanse.
No, I don't want to do that thing that you like. I don't want to do that thing that I like. Because
I'll do it.
my asshole is leaking from eating that shitty-ass fruit that you gave me.
I'm good. I've been good for like 24 hours. Let's do it.
Eve, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
I got some news.
I don't care if a lion comes out and bites your titty off.
Are you ready?
I don't like you right now.
That's okay.
But I am so down to fuck.
Okay, well, hold on. I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant.
That's all we got. You're what?
Pregnant.
Oh my.
Isn't this awesome? We just moved out and now we're gonna start a family.
You think you're gonna start a family out here? Good luck.
Wait, is that Mr. Serpent?
I told you my name is Serpent. I am not a fucking lizard.
Hey, don't talk to her like that. That's Eve, that's my girl.
Yeah, what you gotta say now, Mr. Big Ass Lizard Serpent motherfucker, huh? Got my boy here out with me today, bitch.
Yeah, you out here for sure.
Whatever.
And y'all about to start a family?
Yes.
You ain't got no job.
You.
You ain't got no fire. Damn, y'all ain't got nothing to eat.
Eve, come on. We're about to go. Fuck this dude. Hey, holla at the angel at the gate. Tell him thanks for the sword with the fire. Could really use it right now, but we understand we messed up. So if we could come back on layaway or some type of internship, that'd be what's up.
Oh, you thought I was going back? You thought I was going back to the crib with G.O.D.? Nah, homie. I'm about to roll with y'all out here. What we got set up? Hey, you about to get a nice double wide with a foyer.
No.
Hey.
We're leaving.
I think he's following us. Come on. I think he's following us. Let's go.
Hey, that's all right. I'll holler at y'all later. Hey, keep your head up. Might be in them trees. Hey, hold up. Damn. Let's try to bust some blood off there. That is dry.